everybody. It's me, Jennifer from Little Metal Foxes, and I have something to talk to you about tonight. Because, hello, Nicholas, hello, how are you? Um, so we are going to be talking about doing a little bit of sorting out those saw blades. And I see Chris out there. Hi, Chris, from Lion Punch Forge. How are you this evening? If you want to join me, Julia's going to be stepping in probably about 6:30, but I would love to chat if you want to join me. Um, yeah, here you are. So, yeah, hi everybody. Welcome to Tool Talk. Hey, Chris, how are you?
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, well, doing a little tool tip. How are you?
Nice. Pretty good. I'm gonna find
Yeah,
a charge cable somewhere and
yeah,
go
do that.
find a quiet place to
I
sit.
I hear Luna. How's she doing?
She's doing fantastic.
Uh, fantastic. Well, hey, I did a little video recently that I got a lot of um, feedback and information questions about sorting out your saws once
Oh,
they, you drop a drawer on the floor and your saw blades go every place, and it's really kind of hard to figure out what blades are which and how to resort them, and without having
that's
to
true.
count tools per or teeth per inch, which is a pain in the butt when you're looking at an entire you know a gross of saw blades that may have hit
Oh
the
yeah,
floor. you know
that's no fun at all.
so so when I was looking at this the other day, I was like, oh yeah, so I've got I love this, the Kerf
Yeah, I have one
organizer.
of those too.
Love this.
What I
And
really like is that it actually has an area for miscellaneous blades,
right.
so that if you have like some wax cutting or
Yep. Yep.
woodworking ones, you can put them in there too.
Yes. It's got yeah, the wax or mixed blades. And I
Yep.
like that you can see there's a window that you can see if there's anything in that slot.
Yes,
So you can kind of see
that's important.
yeah. So the other thing I like about this is that it's compact, it's small, and it just like organizes things really well. 3D printed, and I got mine from Peppy Tools. Yeah, you got yours, and they come in different colors, I think. But yes, so shout out to Massive Designs there. Massive Designs. There it is on the bottom.
Yeah,
But this is the
I
curve.
have I have
There it
one of
is.
the ones before they were actually marked.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have one of the original, I think, prototypes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish it was just like about 3 millimeters taller, because I have a couple of blades that seem like they're just too long and don't fit in here, and I don't know
Are they
why.
the are they the Pike or the Hercules?
I don't know.
Mm.
Yeah, I've had them for a while. I have no
I
idea.
think the older Pikes or the older Hercules blades were just a slight bit longer.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Maybe I wouldn't be surprised if they were Hercules. But the other thing I'll show you guys out there is this is the same maker does Bore, which is the organizer for drill bits. I love this.
I
I
don't
love
have one
this.
of those, but I have all of my normally used drill bits kind of already. I keep them in their packages,
Right.
so it's pretty easy for me to go and put those in. The other side I really like, and I know you like the nano blades too.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
I will keep the majority of my nano blades in the tube that they come in,
Yeah, I've got mine
and
in
then
the
I will
tube.
take like one or two bindles out, put them in my kerf, and then that way I can restock from there. And then
Right.
once I place the last couple bindles in my kerf, I know to reorder.
Right. Right. That's a good system. That's a really good system. And I really like the nano blade design for their for these, because they hang really neatly on the bench. I have a pegboard on mine, and the fact that it sort of locks, it screws together and locks,
Yeah.
is really helpful. So I do keep my gross of blades there, and like you said, the bindle at a time or two.
One of
And
the
Yeah.
one of the things you'll see, like if buying old estates of jewelry stuff. Hey, Michelle, um, you'll end up finding bags of just miscellaneous saw blades thrown all together, and
Yeah.
that's how they were stored.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
and a lot of schools, a lot of craft places that do, that are teaching classes, and students will use a blade and throw it back in. It's a miscellaneous, they don't know what it is.
yeah,
Or, I've been over at Pratt Fine Arts Center when somebody dropped the entire bin because they had like the plastic box and they had them all sorted. And so the whole box dropped and blades went everywhere. So it was, and they were all undone from the bindle. So they were just loose.
yeah,
So,
and that's why I don't like storing all of mine in one place unless they have their individual compartments.
right, right.
Um, but I
Well,
mean, as you get more uh, kind of used to sawing and all that, you can pick up a saw blade and go, no, that's too thick. No, it's not. Too many teeth. Not
right.
enough teeth.
Yeah.
Um, and
That's too thick.
you can judge it
Yeah.
without having
Well,
to.
and it's yeah, and after you do this for a while, it's true. But when you've got a pack of them that or a whole bunch that fall on the floor, and you're like, darn it.
I need to go back to bed.
Yeah, it's like, oh God, they all look the same. I'm gonna go blind trying to count teeth. So what I love, and the tip that I had put on one of the stories was that using your wire gauge, it makes it really easy to check the width of the blade, and because on the backside you've got decimal inches, and that converts to. This is a really helpful chart from New Concepts, which I really love that they did this. And these you can download from the website. Julia actually has them downloaded and blown up really big. These are stickers that they will send you for free. So I love the fact that they've got that in standard and in metric. So this is makes it really handy to be able to use the standard to figure out which blades you just need to put away. So by using just your wire gauge, you can kind of slip it right in here. And this one, I believe, is a 4. Yeah. So that one is, yep. So that one's a 4. So once I measure them, I know what they are. And I can just drop it right in and be done.
You need an intern for that.
I know. I only do this when I'm bored. So I have like a pack of them, around that I believe all these are 4s. But yeah, it just makes it really a lot easier. And especially when you've got, like, I just saw Kyle, hi Kyle, signed in. And Kyle teaches high school down at Auburn, schools here in Washington. So shout out to the high school teachers that are teaching all of our amazing young students, up and coming goldsmiths and metalsmiths. So yay, shout out to you guys. So, anytime those kids are like, pop it out of the saw blade and you forgot what saw blade you have, well, you better go measure it and put it away. So,
The other thing I will recommend when somebody gets done with a saw blade,
yeah,
and they need a different size, I throw it away.
A lot of times I will. It depends how badly it's stretched or warped.
Yeah.
Because if it's fine, I'll restore it and reuse it. But I don't throw away my broken blades because I have for 2 reasons. I use them to position things for soldering a lot of times. So a lot of times I'm holding on to those. The other thing that I use them for is I'll put them in a pin vise and use them for sawing my waxes. So doing like my wax piercing that's really delicate to get into small areas. The number 4, saw blade is great because I can sort of use that pin vise and just saw, and just use it like a little tiny hacksaw.
You can use them like a little file too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I use them for that. The other thing, number 3, that I use my broken saw blades for is for plating, pickle plating. So, a lot of times I'm doing work in copper and I want to use my pickle to plate the copper seams or the solder seams. So the whole thing will be copper colored. And I usually have a little bit of broken saw blades that I can throw in the bottom and just throw the piece in and let it sit in there for a few minutes. And the saw blades will dissolve over
The
time.
electroplating?
Yeah.
Or
So
not really
basically just,
electroplating,
it's pickle
chemical
plating. Yeah,
Yeah.
pickle plating. So pickle plating will do a great job of just adding that little bit of copper to the surface and covering up, disguising those solder seams really well. So
Very
I
cool.
love that. But yeah, if you guys want this chart, these, like I said, there's a little barcode or a little code there. Scan that real quick. But go to the New Concepts website and you can download these two charts. Or if you're ordering saw blades from them or one of their fabulous saws, they will send it to you for free if you just ask them. And I believe they said that they would just, if you ask them to send the stickers, they will do that. So you just have to go to their website and request those stickers, and they will send them to you.
Very
So,
cool.
Yeah, it is.
So one of the other saw blade tips that I can think of is the majority of us, me included, have more than one saw frame.
Right.
So I will, if I'm doing a project where I'm going back and forth between thicknesses of metal, oh hey, there's a purple one. I will actually put saw blades in two of my saws, and rather than change out my saw blade, I will change the saw that I'm using with the blade. So there's, I mean, that's always a fun tip to do, because it saves time. And you get the production class tomorrow, right?
I do. We're starting our production for jewelers tomorrow. Yeah.
When it comes,
there's only one seat left, I think.
I know. I took the second one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So basically, when it comes to production, obviously the faster you can make thing go, or the more efficient that you can make something go,
right,
the more value you're getting out of your time. So having two softwares set up.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that I think is really important when you're doing production, and a lot of people look at production and I think have a little bit of a misconception. Maybe it's not a full picture of what production is. Production, I think a lot of people will look at that and say, oh, it's just making stuff faster and cheaper. And I'm like, that's not always what it is. You don't, just because you're going to work in a production mindset to work smarter, not harder, does not mean you want to sacrifice quality. So it just means that you're getting better at and more organized at producing things more quickly. So I'll
give you an example.
Yeah.
I have this is a hypothetical. I have an original design that I have tried out. I really like it. It takes me a little bit longer than I'd like to produce it. So I have a rubber mold made of a component or two.
Right.
And then I send those rubber molds to a caster, and I have those components cast versus having them handmade. Right. And I mean, that's essentially, you probably end up doing it cheaper anyway, because if you're buying, say for example, let's use the links that I've been making for the barbed wire link.
Right. Yeah, those are really cool.
If I wanted to put that into production, the first thing that I would do is make a rubber mold, because I'm using 12 gauge wire.
Oh yeah.
So I'm paying for the 12 gauge wire. I'm paying for the extra cost of the 12 gauge wire because it's milled and round. And then I have the time for making each one of those links and working in 12 gauge. And
that's not including shipping.
Yeah. And working in 12 gauge is not the easiest material to manipulate.
Right.
So it would be more time effective for me to create, one or two link variations.
Right.
And then send them out to have them cast, because I'm paying for the silver and the casting grain. Right. And I'm paying one lump fee for having them cast.
Exactly. Yeah. And a one-time mold charge is the other thing too. But the thing is that not everything can be cast either. So sometimes you have to find ways to make a jig, or to work more efficiently, or to find a way to cut things out, or, outsource different things and get those done a little more efficiently, so that you can stay passionate about a lot of the things that you want to be doing. I know a lot of people that have had designs that it's like, I love this design and I could sell 1 million of them, but I don't have the time to make them. And so it's like, I don't know how to cast it. I don't know how to make this efficiently so that, because I'm not making any money on it. It takes me so much time to make it. So,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that have run across that problem. They're just not making enough money to make it worth their while to make the thing that they love. And it's like, no, there are easier ways to do it. You just need to like figure that part out. So that's what the production part is. And the other thing that, and having done production for many years in casting as well as in fabrication, I know lots and lots of tricks and tools and jigs and tips and services that can do that for people. But the thing that I really want to stress about production work is that sometimes it's really hard to find your motivation when you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. So finding a way to do two things: one, stay inspired and be able to find your designs and find your creative part of what you love to do that keeps you sort of whole and moving forward. And then, doing the stuff that you love so that you can do it in a way that's smarter, not harder, and make some money doing it rather than, beating your head against a wall and going, oh, well, I've got to do a fair and I have to have so many of these pieces and I have to sit down and, drudge through this, so that I can break even at the fair. It's like, that's not the way to do this. There are better, smarter ways of doing it and staying inspired and working on things and distilling down your ideas to things that are manageable,
I think one of the cool things too, I don't know how we got on production, but we're on production now.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'll do is that when I'm in like a creative funk,
yeah,
I will make components.
Oh yeah.
Like mindless, put on some music, make mindless components, relax. Don't worry about the fact that I'm not feeling creative.
Right.
And then just keep my hands busy.
Yeah. And that's, I think, one of the other tricks to sort of getting over the hump or the artist slump or writer's block or, whatever you want to call it. When people, especially in January, February, March, a lot of, especially craftspeople, artists, and especially jewelers that are doing stuff in their studios, it's like you've gone through this like intense, several months leading up to the holiday season. And then suddenly, you're like, ching, 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 and you ship everything out. And then it's like, and everybody.
Crickets and frogs.
And it's just like, what happened? Will I ever sell a piece again? What just happened? And so everybody goes through that kind of crash. And being able to predict that and kind of know what's coming and plan your year, so that when those lulls are going to be, you're going to see those trends. And if you talk to any other metalsmith or jeweler, they're going to tell you what's coming. It's like, these are the peak seasons.
Even for tool sales for me, sales were extremely slow, January and February. I just finally had things pick up beginning of March. And in order to do that, I usually have to release something new.
Yeah.
So pre-planning release of products, if you're doing, product, like if you're having your own line and you know that January and February are going to be slow.
Yeah.
Work your creative magic during that time.
Yeah, that's the time. I mean, if you look at something like the fashion industry, the fashion industry is planning stuff almost a year in advance for release, for coming down the line. So you've got the fall show is in the spring, and that's just the show. And so you've got all these orders and things that they're inspiring that have to get done before the fall line comes out. So, you've got 6 months before that line's even going to be launched. So, yeah, it's a little crazy, but everybody's usually planning way ahead. But, it's so the production class, I think there's 1 seat left in that. If anybody wants to sign up for that, it's going to be a great class. And I have to say, it's one of the things that I'm just, really, really loved over the last year because it was really inspiring. Everybody came in from different levels and had something to contribute. So I was really happy about that.
The fun part for me is that I do some jewelry production with
Mhm.
my own stuff, but the
Right,
majority of my production experience is with making tools.
right.
And believe it or not, the two things are very, very similar when it comes to production. Is production is production.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, I make jigs in order for me to make things faster, easier, and the same every single time.
Right.
Um, you
Consistency.
know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Make it consistent.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, you've got a class coming up in April
oh yeah,
with us. I'm very excited. You're going to be doing the reface, refinish, refurbish tools. So that'll be great. And
yep.
I just saw a sneak peek at some of your pictures for that, and they look great. I love the and the
That's not
shining.
photoshopped either.
That's a shining hammer with your
That's not
mirror finish.
photoshopped.
That is beautiful. I love it.
That is me
So
looking at the thing and then trying to arrange my camera so that it looked right. Yeah,
yeah,
that's an actual reflective image of me
yeah.
in the hammer face.
And that's how those hammers should look too.
Yes, they should.
Well,
Yes, they should.
I just got a set of the planishing points for the hammer handpiece that I was like, oh great, I need a new set. Get these guys cleaned up, and I was polishing them, and somebody replied, they were like, I didn't even know you were supposed to polish them, and I'm like, oh my god, yes, polish those things because they're like planishing hammers and bezel burnishers. Those things should be shined up so pretty.
Everything on the face of any of your tools will transfer to your work.
Right, right. So it acts like
Sometimes it should
you
be
know,
intentional.
yeah,
Majority of the time, it should not be intentional.
right, right. Well, so speaking of tools, Julia's got Make Your Mark stamps and punches coming up on Sunday. And
Fun.
she's going to show everybody how to do, I hope maybe she may be joining us here shortly too. So she's going to be talking about how to soften the steel so that you can carve your stamps into them and make your own designs, and then how to heat harden them again and working with that. So the following one that she's going to do is file work rings. And file work, for those people that do things like knife work and do that kind of file work on along the shank of the, what's it called, the tang.
It could be the tang or the back of it.
Yeah,
Back
yeah,
of the blade. Yeah.
the spine, like along the spine of the
Fine.
blade.
Yeah.
Being able to do that incredibly well. And if you look at Julia's picture of the file work rings, one of them is a bat. So it has like a repeated bat in the file work. The other one is sort of a really lovely floral S. So being
You
able
can
to do that
ivy
repeatedly,
and all sorts of fun stuff.
beautiful. So she shows everybody how to like map that out and get it so it just looks really great. And then Michelle from Michelle Lier Works is going to be doing our first lace filigree class. I've taught filigree some basics before. Michelle has a brilliant, beautiful style of filigree that she's going to share, and so that's coming up. It's sold out, but we're really excited. Hopefully she'll be doing another one really soon. Boxes and lockets and memento mori, keepsakes, with Helen is also coming up. And I'll tell you the cool thing about the memento mori class. She's going to show you how to make some of the containers for those, but using things like ashes, hair, whiskers, bones, organic material, and capturing it in UV resin. Instead of having to use a two-part resin that takes a long time, it cures instantly with UV light. And
Cool
so you can
stuff.
build stuff up and make things float and capture really cool stuff. Yeah, so she's going to be doing that. Michelle asks, is Helen in an art show right now? Yes, she is. She and Julia both are actually coming up at Danica Design. And Helen has a piece in the Yakuta show at Danica. So she did a piece based on the Japanese silks that are really beautiful. So yes, Helen has a piece coming up, and then coming in
in
April.
Competition with that too. She's
So,
in the Battle of the Rings.
oh yeah, Julia's in the Battle of the Rings. She has one of her box rings, and she's going to be teaching box rings coming up as well. Also, let's see what else have I got. April is one of the reasons you're going to be doing your refurbished the hammers is because April is Earth Month. And so we're going to be doing a recycling class and the rolling mill class and all those things that are sort of like getting things going again and starting over. So
Great.
yeah, we've got a bunch of fun stuff coming up. Yeah, there you go.
All sorts of fun stuff.
All sorts of fun stuff. So you've got some new tools coming out, I see.
I do.
Yeah.
So I have the paperclip chain mandrels.
Right.
I sold out of those, and then I had a lot of very persistent people asking me to take their money, so I put them back on pre-order.
There you go.
So
That's
I'm going to be making more of those. So far, so good. I've done a video on how to make 2 different variations of links for that chain.
Oh, that's awesome.
I like paperclip chains because they tend to be a little bit more, as my friend Emily Marquis would say, chonky.
Chonky.
So
you like a chonky chain.
Yeah, little chonky chains.
Little chonky chain.
Yeah, so they're a little easier to solder. You don't melt them nearly as easily as. And the cool thing being oval links is that you can cut right along the bend area, and then when you assemble your chain and solder them again, your solder joint is hidden by the chain. By the link. So
that's funny. I actually was just talking to my boss at Baleen today. We were actually talking about doing oval chains with the seam at the bend because it's hidden underneath the link of the next piece. So
you guys want mandrels?
Maybe. Maybe. I'm going to talk to her about that.
I got contacted by Emily asking me to maybe do some custom sizes for her.
Right.
So, I mean, the sky's the limit when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's all pretty easy once you get the hang of it.
Right. Right. And we've got a jump ringer. So is that what you're putting it into? Is the jump ringer?
No.
Oh.
No. The ovals tend to be a little bit larger.
Yeah.
So I'm sawing them by hand.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We might have too many to do that. Because if we're doing the production stuff that we're doing, it's sometimes easier to have that done.
Yeah. So depending on the size of the link, the height, the larger links are about 1 inch plus 1 inch internal dimension long,
right,
plus the thickness of the metal times 2.
Right.
So that's your length on one, and so then the other ones just get smaller than that. So smaller mandrel would be much more apt to be able to fit in the jump ring tool.
Yeah.
In fact, I've done an oval link in the jump ring tool around the size of, I want to say maybe 3/8 or lower.
Mm-hmm.
And that's with a mandrel that I made. So it can work.
I think, I'll talk to you about the technical stuff later, but yes.
The other thing I have coming out, and I haven't released it yet, is that do you have a GRS bench pin that you use?
I do not.
You do not. Okay. See, a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And when you're using the GRS system, you can take your bench pin off. You can put your ring mandrel on. You can take that off, put on a vise, and all sorts of fun stuff. So you have like all these different options. But when you have all those options, where do you put them when you're not using them? Most people just throw them in a drawer.
Right.
And it takes up drawer space. So
true.
In order to buy a new dovetail from GRS, it's right around $30, $28, $30.
Yeah.
So I started making some HDPE, some high density polyethylene, and some special edition wood dovetail blocks. So you can create a rack with these more inexpensive or decorative dovetail links and store those tools in like a cool way right in front of you or matched to a wall or something like that.
Of course, that makes perfect sense.
Yep. And then I'll end up selling them less expensive than what the GRS ones go for. So
that's all you need is that dovetail wedge to store all those things.
Well, the funny thing is that as I'm prototyping it, I'm like rough measuring with the protractor and all this, trying to figure it out. Like that look maybe 15.5 degrees. Turns out it was like 2.5 degrees, and it was a little hard to kind of like but I made a bunch of jigs, so now I
Right.
can make it repeatable. And the hardest part is trying to figure it out because it's a two-sided taper. It tapers at an angle and it tapers down in another direction. So cutting
Right.
that, you have to set up your saw
Well,
to,
even if it's just dovetailed, like a standard dovetail, that those things can slide on. If it's blocked at the bottom, they can't fall
if
off.
if it's blocked at the bottom. But I
Yeah.
wanted to have them just like the other, so it's a
Uh,
dovetail and it's a taper.
yeah.
So as it slides down in, it locks in and then stays in place.
Yeah. That makes sense. That's cool. What a
So
great idea.
they'll be
You're
like
so
for
full of great ideas.
15 or $18, I think is all.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So I'll probably do like a set too, like,
Yeah.
individual price, and then, or a set of 5 or a set of 4 for blah, 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 something like
Oh,
that.
okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I could see, having, so many in a row so you can just like and
Hmm.
hang them all up there. I mean, some of those parts are real heavy too. So it's got
Yeah.
to be
So
some,
I've tested them. I have the drop down tray for my ball vise,
right,
and I've been testing one of my prototypes with the drop down tray with my ball vise on it.
right. That's
So
good.
it's nice and heavy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So far, so
Well,
good.
that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, we've got some cool stuff to talk about for production starting tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
So real happy about that. And if I would, I wish Julia was here so she could talk more about her stamp making. But I'm real happy that she's going to be teaching that stamping class, because it's more than just stamps. It's more than just being able to make that tool, because so many people want to create unique impressions and
Yeah.
patterns on their work, and not just for that, but being able to work with the steel and change it into what you need.
One of my
Um,
favorite tools for making stamps is a checkering file.
yeah, those are beautiful, aren't they? I love a checkering file. Yeah. So checkering files are used a lot in the gun and knife industry for creating like a checker pattern on
Or
wood.
also
What?
hand making knurling.
And
That's how
knurling.
knurling was handmade to begin with before
Knurling,
like
one of my
you could have
favorite words. I love
knurling.
knurling. So for
And
those of you that don't know
let me
what
throw in
knurling
Michelle's
is,
favorite word.
it's one of my favorite words.
Swarf.
I love the word knurling. So
Yeah. Michelle likes swarf.
Knurling, knurling.
Mm-hmm.
So knurling, my friends that don't know, is the pattern that you see, sort of that cross pattern or checkered pattern that you see on tools like this that allow you to get sort of a grip on the tool. So that's knurling. So yeah, knurling.
Those
I
were
love
hand cut with traditionally those were hand cut with a checkering file, where they'd establish an angle for one cut and then reposition, establish the angle, and go in the opposite direction. And it leaves these little like knurls.
Right. Yes. Oh, her other one is swarf.
Swarf is her favorite. Yeah.
Swarf. That's a good one. Yeah. Yeah. I like kerf is one of my favorite ones.
Kerf is a good one. Swarf,
Like
kerf, nerf.
All the fun words.
All the good stuff.
Yeah. That and things like I do have a introduction to forming class coming up as well. So sort of demystifying a forming block. And one of my favorite words in metalsmithing comes from the forming side of things, which is hyperbolic paraboloid, which is more of a geometry forming word.
Yeah.
But it's just fun to like blah, 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 out of your mouth.
Yeah, just say it like everyone knows what you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just gonna go over here
So-
and make a hyperbolic paraboloid.
If we're mentioning words, I have one that it's been a family word. It was our family like pick up from school safe word. Like if somebody says, "Hey, I'm here to pick you up," the family safe word would be flocky knocky nihili pilification. And do you know what that means?
No.
So we've only been able to find it in like one or two old English dictionaries, and flocky naki nihili pilification means worthless without value.
Oh God,
So much like the word, it is the definition.
that's awesome. Oh my gosh, it sounds like that would be something like that, or from
Yeah.
like chitty chitty bang bang.
Yeah, very very much an old English slang word.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, what else have you got going on, my friend?
Let's see. I have been doing a lot of that chain link mandrel stuff. That's been keeping me pretty busy.
Right.
I am right now. Let's see if I can turn myself around.
You're headed. You're going to be going to. Oh, look at you!
I'm
You're having a stone sale. I believe.
photographing beads,
Yep.
and I'm very likely going to have. Let's see some of these. These ones are beautiful. I came back from Tucson with a lot of stuff.
Oh my gosh! I bet you did.
So look at
Lots
these.
and lots of stones. Oh, are those labradorite?
Nope.
What is that?
These are vintage smoky quartz.
Oh, okay. It's got
And
a
then some-
sheen on camera. It's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just-
So, but you've got a sale going on, don't you, on your stones right now?
Yes. Right now, let me turn me around. How do I do this?
There you are.
So I am rescuing a very old tool. It's a jewelry kick press or foot press.
Right.
It came out of a jewelry findings manufacturer plant in Rhode Island in Providence.
Mm-hmm.
And it's used for a bunch of tooling for either cutting out blanks, forming metal, a lot of the like brass bracelet cuff things were formed with these because you'd be able to take the tooling in and out and put different stuff in it. And so I'm going to rescue that guy. So I have a stone sale, 15% off all stones right now on the website
Fantastic.
to help fund the saving of this machine. So.
Well, great. That sounds fun.
And then I get to make a bunch of tooling for it, which would be fun.
That's always fun. Keep your projects alive.
Yeah, and then I have the electric rolling mill project coming up pretty soon, I think.
Right.
That was the like 1930s 440 volt 3-phase rolling mill that is just an industrial monster.
I was going to say it's a monster.
Yeah. So I'm going to be redoing that, converting that to a 110 and putting it to use in the shop.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And then
that sounds great.
I may be doing a build. Oh, there's Julia.
Yeah,
I may be doing a build on, those GRS rotary graver sharpeners?
Yes.
Electric ones?
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably do a video on making one.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. There she is.
Hey, Julia.
Hi, Julia.
It's been a day.
I bet. There you are. Hey,
Hi.
we were just talking about your tool class coming up. Your stamp class.
The stamp. Yes, make your marks, stamps and punches. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And refurbishing tools and doing fun things.
And all the fun you can have with steel.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
You guys know that's where my heart's at.
I know.
It's where part of my heart is. The other part's in somewhere else.
In stones. It's about rocks. It's about iron and rocks.
Rocks, tools, metal, all that fun
Yep.
stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, so you've got that coming up this weekend, and I was saying it's not just about making a stamp, but being able to work with the metal to make tools that can work great for you,
Is
right?
it this weekend? I'm like, is
So
it really
it's
this
the
weekend?
13th. It's Sunday the 13th. Yeah. So
Is it? Oh, okay. I guess we're doing. Well, shows you what I know. It's been a week. We had like
Yes.
windows and doors and stuff installed today. There's been a lot going on. Okay, so I guess I should make sure I pull all my stuff out for that. Yeah, because that's Sunday.
yes. Well,
It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing it.
One of the things that I really love about doing that is that I feel like I am empowered to change steel, to make steel do what I want it to do. And
We can do it.
Exactly. And I think that it's something that we sort of forget that this was done not that long ago by a lot of people, in their studios. When metalsmiths needed something, they would make it. And
Right.
so you would make the tool that you need to do the thing that you needed to do. And it really is very empowering to be able to do that, because suddenly your work is unique. It's got your literal hand on it, your impression, your stamp on it. And it's not as hard as a lot of people think. And once you sort of figure out, it's like, oh, this is what I've got to do. You can make stamps anytime you need them to be the thing that you want it to be. And it just gets better and better and better and better, the more you do it. But it's nice to be able to bend the steel. And
project.
So
I'm sorry, what was that, Chris?
Did I tell you about my secret research project?
No.
So in my library of books over here, old books, new books, books. And I noticed that in the older ones, you have a chapter that doesn't necessarily appear in the newer ones. And that is making your own tools.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so my research project is to try and compile all that information into one source, turn it into a class, and potentially turn it into its own book.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
One of the things that I love, I think you've got this book, we've talked about this before, was like, well, first you have to make your drill bits. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So, making your drill bit. And it says, go down to the local mercantile and, get yourself a pack of needles and of varying sizes. And then you like break off the end and you file it like this. And then you've got your drill bit. And I'm like, really?
Oh.
so I tried it, and it works.
Those
amazing.
drill bits, those were the drill bits you had, and you would file them so they would cut when they moved in both directions.
Right.
Because you weren't going to be using them in a rotary power tool that only cuts in one direction. You were going to be using them in one of those pump drills like I have.
All three of us are like,
it's like the bouncy car. And so you want those spade bits to have a cutting edge on both sides, so they're cutting in both directions. So which is pretty cool.
But I think it was fascinating. Like Chris was saying, like the old books would have the chapter on. It's like, okay, intro to jewelry. First, let's make some tools.
Yeah.
Because we got to have tools to make the jewelry with.
I
think the last
everybody
book I saw
knew
was
how to
in 1913 that mentioned that.
Yeah, and everybody knew how to test the different steels to see like what kind of steel they were, from the spark patterns. Like that was standard. Everybody just knew it, right? How to, which is cast iron, what's high carbon, what's this, what's that. It's like somebody showed you and then you're like, oh, okay, good. And then everybody knew how to do it.
You'd have to make your own chasing tools. You'd have to make your own, all the tools that you would need pretty much to get stuff done, your mandrels and everything else, especially if you were doing something that was like, a commission piece for, some muckety muck in Florence.
You're making Portlandia, or you're making, the Statue of Liberty. There are no chasing punches that size.
Right, exactly right, yeah. So,
but
I think that's going to be a great class, and I highly recommend it. And that and the file work class, because both of those are really about understanding the essentials of metalsmithing. Both of those classes are, and for people
so one of the things that you learn in the stamp making class, so you can file the end off of a nail and you can make a sort of temporary stamp with a nail. And I frequently show my beginning students how to do that, just sort of demystify the shape process. Yeah. Like it's not so precious then. It's like, it's just a nail, right? And you can go to Ace Hardware and buy a 1 pound box of, 10D nails and practice with it. But the other thing we're going to learn in the stamp making class is how to harden and then how to temper the metal. And the advantage of learning how to temper the metal is you can do that not just with stamps, right? So you can do stuff like, I know, New Approach School, Blaine Lewis is like for a minute that I can, he will actually anneal a file. Yeah. So that it's softer then, and I think he'll anneal it. I can't remember if he tempered it or not, but I know he annealed it because then it was so soft that it wouldn't cut opal. So then he could use it. So then he could use it because the steel of the file is still hard enough to cut the silver or the gold that you're cutting, you know, the prongs or the bezel or whatever you're putting. Like if you're putting bezels, if you're prong setting an opal, you can anneal a file and then use that to shape the prongs, because the steel, the annealed steel, will be softer than the opal, but it will be harder than the metal that you're using to file it with.
Well, and once you anneal the steel on a file, you can actually clean up and polish the edges of the file, so you've got a safe side file, you know. That's
so he was, I think he was using a little barrette file, and he was annealing it, and then also, I can't remember, he probably polished the edges because it's Blaine Lewis. He doesn't leave out the important things like that. But,
well, that way that slick edge doesn't hurt anything. So sometimes on some of the files they have like a tooth or two. So
but he was actually poking the tip of the file into a sacrificial opal to show you, see, when it's hard steel, it will scratch the opal. And look, now that it's been annealed, won't scratch the opal. And I was just like, oh, you know, so it's like, you know, once you know how to, then it's like, okay, you can change the commercial tools that you buy too to be what you want them to be, right? You can anneal it. If you have a chasing punch that's like, oh, it's part of a set and it was now a size I never really used, just anneal the little bugger and then change the shape of the tip and then reharden and temper it.
Chris, what were you gonna say?
I was as far as the nice polished edge on a file. One of the other tips that I got from a traditional goldsmith was just using a slight bit of either mineral, or she was using motorcycle oil on the area where she was filing, so that the file itself would slide across the stone and only dig into the metal, and it just creates a little bit less of a coefficient of friction from the file.
That makes sense. Yeah, I like that. I'm a big fan of Kurabara camellia oil. I love that stuff.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It was Emily Marquis.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Yeah,
I've seen it. I've seen it in a book before too. I can't remember. It was one of the older books.
Yeah.
Oldie but kind of like us.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's I think, you know, between things like, you know, making your own stamps and learning how to use files and using saws and rolling mills properly, you know, I think there's a lot of things that can be demystified for people that have been taking classes at like bigger workshops, and they're used to having, you know, industrial, you know, sized rolling mills and stamps and tools and things that are pre-made, and forget that, you know, even the hammers and chasing tools and rolling mills had to be made to be able to do this. And in small shops prior to, you know, 50 years ago, a lot of people were making all their own stuff. So it's really kind of cool when you can like customize your work, your pieces like that, your tools, to be able to meet the needs of what you want them to do in your studio. It's, you know, to me, it's such a elemental foundation for the craft. So.
Yep. I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's fun. I really love making stamps. You know, it's like I really like making stamps. I don't end up using them as much as I like making them. Right? Because my work is not like, I'm not Matthew Chemney, who makes those amazing stamps and then does freaking amazing stuff with them, right? Like his multiple and his book is excellent. If you know, if you don't want to take my class, that's totally fine. But you could learn a ton. Probably more than I can teach you from his book.
Stamps can do. Take a look at his book, because a lot of people think of stamps as like, oh, I'll put my stamp on it and that's it, or I'll stamp a dragonfly on something.
I have it here somewhere, but I don't know where it is.
But I think Chris has got it. I'm sure. There it is. Yeah,
there it is. That's the art of stamping. So one of the things that's great about this book is that, in addition to the fact that he talks about all the stuff I'm going to talk about in class, really, I'm just like giving a total plug for the book, because he does talk about the different kinds of steel and where he gets he really likes old tools. Chris, he really likes old tools. He really likes reusing old tools because the quality of the steel is so high.
That's what I typically use for mine if I want to do something.
And he loves using the tangs of old files for his stamps.
I was going to say, I like using files for my stamps.
Well, he says the steel is good. It's already annealed. It has a good shape, because one of the things that I learned from him, you know, I kind of intuitively understood this, but he like codified it by clarifying that the point of your stamp actually has to be smaller than the top that you're hitting, because it's like a stiletto heel. You put, you know, 175 pounds of woman on a 1/4-inch stiletto heel, and that thing can punch right through an airplane floor, right? Like that's why women, when airplanes first were like becoming a thing and you air travel, they weren't allowed to wear stilettos on the airline. You had to take your shoes off if you were going to walk, because the aluminum floor, they would punch right through it, because you put all this weight on this tiny little space, and it's like, no, really make a dent.
Yeah.
So it's the same for stamp. The more it comes in at the end, the more, you know, juice, the more depth you can get with it, right? And I knew this intuitively, but he actually codifies it in his book. He talks about a specific angle. Like it has to have at least, I think it's 15 degrees or 20 degrees or something. I don't remember.
Yeah.
So he talked about that. And then he also does a really nice job of stepping you through making a whole bunch of different stamps that are like in a family of stamps, you know, like here's a basic triangle, and then here's a triangle with lines, and here's the, you know, it's just a really meaty book, which is very typical, might I add, of Tim McCreight and Bryn Morgan Press, because it's a Bryn Morgan Press book. So plug for Bryn Morgan Press and quality. Like me, I'm all about the nosebleed quality, you know, and that book absolutely is in that category.
Yeah.
He has a really awesome Rio video out too, where he goes over his processes on camera and then demonstrates making the stamps and then making a pattern.
You don't even need to take the class with me. I'm fun, and my class will be fun, and you'll have a good time. It will be well worth the money. But if you don't want to spend the money on the class with me, you can buy Matthew Chemney's book and watch his free Rio video, and you're probably going to learn. You're going to learn plenty.
Well, it's another level.
I
mean, it's really another level.
Interactive as Julia is.
That's right.
It's nowhere near as interactive. I am very entertaining.
Yeah, well,
and I will answer all of your questions.
Having somebody walk you through that step by step, what the questions are, what it needs to look like, you know, how do you know when it's done? You know, all those things that you kind of want to sort of walk through and ask questions about on the basics.
And my handout, I'm like really good about the handout. You know, I have like a picture of the tempering colors in there. And
right.
So I'm the queen of handouts. I know.
Good stuff coming up. Well, Chris, again, we are so thankful that you're going to be teaching another class, and
I know, that's so awesome. I can't wait.
And same to Michelle out there. We're looking forward to that. And I will see you both, I think, tomorrow in the production class. So there is.
I'll be a little bit late, but I will be there.
Yeah. Well, and you know, with all of our classes, everything's videotaped. Mm-hmm. So you've got 30 days access after the end of the classes. So that will be up.
You never miss a minute. You never miss a minute with Little Metal Foxes.
That's right.
Nope.
We got you covered.
Even if you want to, you'll open your Instagram and look, here we are.
That's right.
Here we are. Up close and personal.
Here we are, all three of us.
Chris, I love the photos that you sent today for your hammer class.
Isn't that great?
Yes. I love so y'all will see when the hammer class goes up on the website. There's one particular photo of Chris himself and his hammer that I just thought was the best. So,
that's not photoshopped.
I know it's not. That was why I loved it so much.
It's that, and that's how your hammer should look. By the way,
that is how your hammer should look. And y'all don't know what we're talking about, but you will, because you're going to go and look at the website.
And that's going to be the end of April. So it's a one-day workshop on refacing, refurbishing, refinishing hammers and other like tools that need shiny surfaces, like
everything.
bezel
except stamps.
Except stamps.
Yeah, I mean, you can shine up your stamps too if you want. If you want the surface to be shiny, you can totally shine it up. Yeah,
that's right.
Well, you could texture some and shine the other, so you get a stamp.
That's right.
Both.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. So yeah, everybody, one more time for those of you that joined us late, if you want to organize those saw blades, grab your gauge, your wire gauge, and go to the new concept site and get the chart, and they'll send it to you for free, the stamps or the stickers, or you can download it, and all you have to do is measure the width of your saw blade, and then you know what size it is by looking at the chart. So there you go. So to everybody who's out there tonight, thank you so much. Oh, and big news, we've got 2 things coming up. We've got a play date on Saturday coming up.
Playing with fire.
Playing with fire. So
yeah.
Julie and I are going to be live on YouTube, playing in Jewelry Studio, doing torchfire and annealing. So it's just going to be us interactive day. So if you go to our YouTube channel, you can join in, watch, or ask questions and stuff, interact with us there. And so that's going to be a lot of fun. We're just going to be chaos, mostly.
Controlled chaos.
Controlled chaos.
What this is a peek behind the curtain. It gets you a chance to see how do you develop an idea for a class. Because when we teach a class, we have it all figured out, right? And we're like, this is how you do it. And it's like this, and this is, and and when we say, in my experience, this is this, playing with fire, this is how we got that experience. Right. Yes. So the in my experience piece, you're going to get to see what that looks like. It's like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that didn't work. Yeah. And then you go find a different way.
You know,
exactly.
Why are those sponges important? You know, and so, yeah, it's really fun to see what kinds of things happen when you just allow yourself to play and have fun. And
I'm going to see you guys later.
All right. We'll see you
Bye,
later,
Chris.
Bye. But yes, you know, the play date on Saturday is going to be a lot of fun. That's free. And on YouTube, and all you have to do is sign in on YouTube and go to Little Metal Fox's channel.
If you subscribe to YouTube, then the minute we go live, you will get an email. Instantly, you will get an email notification that we're live, and then you can just come and watch and put questions in the chat and just watch. You know, you could just, if you're making dinner or making cocktails or making work, whatever, you can just have it on. Yeah.
So the other thing is we're going to be doing a live interview with Lori Talcott. And Lori is a brilliant, stellar, world famous for filigree and her amazing, amazing work. So,
oh my God, I don't have her earrings on, but I have a pair of her earrings that I wear all the time.
Yes. So we're going to be at her studio doing a live interview with her coming up in a couple of weeks. So that information is going to be on the website. You can get front row seats to that and be interactive on the Zoom with us. Hey, Kathleen. So if you want to be like front row seats to the Lori Talcott live interview in studio with her, you can sign up. It's $10, and then you get a $10 coupon for an upcoming class. So it basically works out to be free. It's a wash. And otherwise, you can watch it live on YouTube for free. But we want to make sure that we are doing these going forward and doing some behind-the-scene studio chats and interviews with artists that we respect and want to share with our students and our fans around the world.
And we wanted, so the whole $10 thing, we wanted to have like a studio audience. So we really wanted to have people who were in the Zoom call who could interact and ask questions. And we wanted them to really be involved a little bit, you know, and like ask mindful questions and really, you know, be involved. And so that was why we're like, oh, we're going to charge for it because we only have 25 seats. So we're only going to have an in-studio online audience of 25, not, you know, it's not like cast of thousands. So there are only 25 seats available. But then anybody who actually does attend the live call will get a $10 discount coupon to use, so you'll get your money back. And, you know, we just want you to be really present, right? So this is how we're trying to assure that you're present.
Right. Thank you. Yeah. All right. So I'm so glad about your tool class. I'm so glad about the firework class.
I know. I'm glad you reminded me that it's this Sunday because I was thinking it's
so glad Michelle has got filigree coming up. And so take a look at what's coming up. We just loaded a whole bunch of new classes onto the website, and we've got more to come. So you guys have a great evening, and we'll talk to you later. And Julia, I will see you on Saturday for our play date with
Playing with fire, torch fired enamel.
Yeah. All right.
Come and
So,
see what we do.
yeah, there you go. All right, everybody. Kathleen, if you want to be present, DM us, and we might can be able to get you on that Zoom with us if you like for the. Oh yeah, and Michelle.
You talking about Lori Talcott's? She might be talking about Lori Talcott's thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
you want to be present for Lori's? Yeah, sign up for that. So we're going to have that up, I think, tomorrow on the website. So anyway, keep an eye out for that. Julie and I are on the same time zone, but Helen's
8 hours off, and so
8
like the
hours off.
newsletter and all that, like
Yeah.
there's always often there's like a little bit of a time delay. There's a little lag.
Right.
Oh, and this weekend, peeps, daylight savings. Don't forget.
That's right. And I believe it's is it today International Women's Day? I thought
Is
it was
today
last
International
week.
Women's Day, or is it International Women's Month? I think today is International Women's Day, and
It is,
it's
but
Black
yes.
History Month or something.
So shout out to all the girls. Love y'all. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. Y'all have a great evening. We'll talk to you later. Mwah, mwah, mwah. And yeah, we'll see you later. Maybe on Saturday. Join us live. So, bye.